So next we have power. This is more or less for laptops, and seeing as how I'm on a desktop, this doesn't pertain to me. However, if you are on a laptop, you would probably want it to suspend with inactivity for one of these times. Right now I'm on a desktop, so I don't need to have that suspend. And then this shows battery status when a battery is present. Right now, again, I'm not on a laptop, so I don't have the battery status indicator. However, you would if you were on a laptop. It would be up in this bar here. So then we have printing. This printing dialog is the same as on Windows, and I'm not going to go over how to set up a printer because there's so many different combinations of printers, networks, and computers that it would be impossible to teach all of them. But this is straightforward, just like the Windows version. So now we have sound. Generally, you don't need to edit these settings. However, if you don't have any audio output, then you're going to want to search in here. The best way to determine which output is correct is to play an audio clip and then select each of the output devices until you hear sound. Or you can click this test sound button, which then will let you test the sound.
Front, left, front, right.
For right now that's correct, so I'm going to leave it as is. As well as we have our input devices. These are all the inputs that the computer can see. So if you need this, if you have a microphone or something like that plugged in, this is where you would set it up. Then we have our sound effects. All this does is change the soundboard that the computer uses, such as bark, drip, glass, or sonar. I generally like to leave it on default, however, if one of these sounds better to you, then just select that one. Then if we go to applications, this will show every application that's communicating to your sound server. Right now I have none, so it's showing up with none. So next we have the Wacom graphics tablet. Right now I do not have one, however I have set one up in the past, and it is literally plug and play. I just plugged in my tablet, checked a box that said I had a tablet plugged in, and then it worked right out of the box. So then we go to System. So right here, our first one is Backup. So if we go to this, it's using the tool Deja Dupe Backup Tool. This can be found on other distributions, but it automatically comes with Ubuntu. This setup is great for backing up files and folders, however it is not ideal for a full system recovery, so I'm going to go back to all settings. Then we have Details. Now this shows you a little bit about the hardware in your computer, and your computer's name, as well as the distribution you're using. So right now I've got an Intel Core i7. The graphics processor is unknown because again it's a virtual machine, so there is no graphics card, it's a virtual graphics card. So then I have a 32-bit OS, and I've got 10.6 gig of disk space. So if we go to the default applications, this will set up your default web browser, email client, calendar editor, music player, video player, and photo viewer. Right now this works just fine for me. So then if we go to removable media, this sets up how you're going to be prompted for each type of removable media. As of right now, Ask What to Do works perfectly for me. However, you can set it to automatically open in certain programs. So then if we go to graphics, right now I have the driver that's unknown because again this is a virtual machine and the experience is standard. However, if you had a discrete graphics card, it would show the driver that you're using, either NVIDIA or AMD. So then this management service, that's more or less for the corporation. It's not very useful for the average user, so I'm not going to go into that. So then we have time and date. This sets up your location and region as well as your time settings, and then you can set how you want the clock to look in this bar here. For instance, if I put it to 24-hour time, it goes to 24-hour time, whereas I'm going to put it back to 12-hour time so it says AM PM rather than military time. You can also set up how the calendar is going to look. So I would like to have the weekday and the date and month displayed, so I'm going to check both of those boxes, and now it says Thursday, November 29th, 11 a.m. I also like to see the second, so I'm going to put that on too. So now we have universal access. This is more or less for hearing impaired and visually impaired people. Right now I'm neither, so I don't need to go through these settings. However, if you do, this is where they are. And then finally, user accounts. So right now I am Ubuntu class and I'm the administrator. So to edit these settings, I click this unlock button here, put in my administrator password, and then I'm able to edit these settings. It's the same sort of dialogue as the wallpaper. Here I can just click this add button to add a user, and then I can also edit the other accounts. For right now I'm going to leave it the way it is, because it works great for me, so I'm going to click lock. And then I'm going to go back to all settings. So that was a brief overview of all the settings in Ubuntu Linux. So now I'm going to go into how to install an application. So to install an application, we go to the Ubuntu Software Center, which is this handbag here. So we click on that, and it launches the Ubuntu Software Center. Now it has new programs here, and then top-rated programs here. I do have to say, if you're going to be going through a lot of video and audio content, VLC Media Player is a wonderful player. VLC Media Player is one of the most robust media players I've ever used. So, I'm going to install Chrome, or in Linux terms, it's Chromium. It's the same Google Chrome, except this one is updated on a daily basis, hence the name Chromium and the different icon. So I'm going to install it. So all you have to do to install it is to click install. More often than not, you're going to want to click more info. This will give you a brief overview of what the program is and what it'll do, as well as its add-ons and then its reviews. So I'm going to click install. If this had not been a free program, then it would say a price here and it would say buy here. And then it would ask you to set up an Ubuntu One account. Right now, seeing as how this is free and I don't have to pay for it, I don't need to set up that account. So I'm going to click install. It asks me for my administrator password, so I'm going to put it in. Now you can see here it's switched to installing. It shows the progress here. As well as if you're installing multiple applications at once, it would list them all here and their progress there. So the new application pops up in your Unity bar. Right now I have Chromium web browser, and it shows a little blue arrow next to it. That means that it was just installed and has not been launched. So I'm going to launch it right now by clicking on it. So there you have it. There is a new installed application. So I'm going to close this for now. Now I would rather this be at the top of the Unity bar rather than the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click, drag out a little bit, then pull up. And I'm going to put this up here. So now that I have Chromium web browser installed, I don't really want Firefox there. So I'm going to right click and unlock from launcher. This will delete the shortcut from this launcher, however it's not gone forever. If you need that shortcut back, you would click -home, and then you type in the name of the program. So I'm going to type in Firefox. So there it is, so I click and drag to the bar and set it back in. It's as easy as that. So right now I'm going to unlock this from launcher again, because again I don't want it. So there's that. So generally the list of software I use for school is pretty much what comes installed. So you have your Office applications here, and then your cloud storage here. So for instance, if I open up LibreOffice Writer, Here it is. It looks very much like Word 2003. However, it is completely compatible with Word 2010, 2007, and 2003, as well as OpenOffice. So I'm going to close this. That has been a brief overview of what can be done with Linux, and more specifically Ubuntu Linux. So thank you for tuning in.